Well, it's been a few days since I worked on this and since I filmed anything either. But something came that we need. I thought it would be a belt. I didn't know it was going to be an O-ring. If I knew it was going to be an O-ring, I would have just went and measured the old belt and went and got an O-ring. But whatever. It looks like it's going to work. I kind of held it up there. It looks like it's the right length. So I'm going to see about getting this apart. Getting in there to that mechanism. I did break this loose off a camera. It wasn't that big a deal. I just turned it until the gang stopped tuning the condenser tuning gang, whatever you want to call it. The banana splitter stopped moving, and then I was able to break this screw loose. Was looking at this, and it looks like it's rusty on one side and very nice on the other. And when I first took it off, it fell, so I didn't see which way it was pointed. But it doesn't look like it matters. So we'll put this off to the side real quick here so it's out of the way and I don't damage it. Gotta find a home for it so it's not gonna get screwed up. Because if I can, I will. You know how that goes. That's why I made a cover for this that just is not sticking anymore. Oh, I didn't want to cut more tape, but I'm not going to either. So I was looking at the back of it, and it looks like these two screws right here, and let this dial face come off with these lights attached. I'm hoping I can pull that off and just kind of fold it off out to the side, and then we can get a better look, see what we need to do next. And I'm assuming those are going to be hopefully this size right here. Oh, that's actually too small. And that's too big. Seriously? So quarters to... So they should be 3/16. 9/32. Nope. So I don't know what's in between those. Man, I wish I could use sockets on that. I don't want to drag out my other socket set, so we'll just do it the old school. We'll give her the old school. Oh, come on. Oh, this isn't rocket science. I'm gonna put my fingers through that speaker yet from the back if I'm not careful. Okay, that one's broke loose. That one's broke loose. A little easier when you have it adjusted correctly. I always like leaving the top one connected on something like this. Looks like there's some sort of clip holding that. Yeah. Looks like an old school split clip. We called them, I've always heard them called "Oh Jesus" clips. Yeah, it's an "Oh Jesus" clip. Move a couple of things out of the way and we'll slide this down where I can work on it while you guys can still watch. Maybe I'll move you down a little bit. I wonder if we can just pop that off of there. I don't want to expand that if I don't have to, but I may have to. And you can't really see what I'm doing, can you? There's a little split in it here. And I thought maybe I could pry it off this way. I may be able to yet. But I may have to expand it out. If I spread it, I don't see how I'm going to get it tight on here again. It obviously springs apart and comes off. You can kind of see the... Maybe I can focus in on that a little bit and you can see. You can see the split in it right there. So it looks like if I get that ring off, I'll let this come off, and then it looks like I need to pull this screw right here, which will release this. And there's the spring on there. And the little idler, the little tensioner pulleys on the end of this spring. So the spring is wound, and an arm comes down and goes through that idler pulley on that belt. The other end of the spring comes up here. And if you notice, the distance here and the distance here are not equal. And like I said before, this does not sit in the center of the hole of the cabinet. And these are not in line. You would think these would all be in line. I tried looking online for a Emerson B-131, and I could not tell from the pictures if the knob was aligned, because everybody took a picture from a different, let's bring this back out. So looks like you pull this screw down here. Once we get this off, and this bar will come out of the way, and this spring is wound with it, and then the other end of the spring comes down, and that roller's on the end of the spring, that tensioner roller, and then the spring, the other end of it's here, pushing here, so the tension, you know, is being held. So I got to get this off. I'm going to do that off camera, and if it becomes a real ordeal, a super secret sauce trick, I will come back and show you the secret sauce trick. But if not, just assume that it just came right off. It just popped off. Just not applying the pressure correctly on it to get it off. Be right back. Okay, I got it off. Here's the washer and the Oh Jesus clip. You know why we call it an Oh Jesus clip? And that is like a Belleville washer, like a spring washer. And I pulled the bottom screw out down here. It's a machine screw, just a flathead machine screw, and it only looks like it only goes into here. So I think this whole thing's loose except for these two bolts here. So this should slide off, and I think there's going to be a little bit of tension on it from There. There. Now would be a good time to clean and lube all of that too, right? I think so. The belt wasn't broken, it's just worn out. Not worn out, it's had turned rock solid. The thing is hard. Look at that. Kind of weird working around you guys. Look at that. That thing is... Yeah, it's going to break. Man, that had been left in that position for an extremely long time. Well, it was starting to come apart. But it was left in that position for an extremely long time. So I'm wondering what to put on this for lube. So that must just be a interference fit on there. We clean that. We clean that surface. I'm wondering about some sort of grease. And put a little bit right here too, and clean this surface. And you can see how that tensioner, right? How that tensioner works. That's just sitting on there too. There's nothing holding that on there, no clip or anything. So there must not be room for it to fall off. We'll get this cleaned up, but let's see the new O-ring. I was worried, yeah, see? Man, that's going to be a stretch. That's going to be a lot of tension. It'll do it though. It's gonna work. I think now's the time to clean all of this. Put some lube in those for sure, a little tiny drop of oil. I wonder what, I don't know if I should put any lube on these gears. Because you see when you turn this, man, look at those spider webs. I wonder how long that stuff's been in there. And you can see the other end of it there. You know what that reminds me of? The mechanism in a window in a car. How your window rolls up and down in your car. There's a name for that type of gear. I'm having a brain fart on it right now. But that is pretty interesting, isn't it? How that looks just like a window mechanism. And works just like it, you know? A little handle on your, you know, the old school handles anyway. Cars really don't have handles in them anymore, do they? I mean, this turns pretty freely. There's no binding. It's very smooth. And there's two of them together with that spring. There's more than one gear there. That would make sense because it would keep tension. So there isn't a huge amount of backlash. See how when I move this just a little bit, this moves. And that's how it keeps that tension on the gears. These springs are pushing the teeth away from each other so that they're pushing on the receptacle teeth on this gear. So there's no slack in either direction. That's pretty smart and pretty intricate. Amazing the engineering that went into these old radios. I mean, everything back in this day. The engineering that went into everything back in this day. People really cared that when they built something, that they wanted it to last forever. I mean, you work on old pickup trucks like from the 50s and the, you know, I think all the way up into the mid 50s on Chevys. They had grease fittings on the leaf spring pivots. So on your modern day cars, there's just a bolt, a pin that goes through there, and a piece of rubber maybe with the metal sleeve. No way to lube any of that. The old pickup trucks, they wanted those things to last forever. So, well, I'll get this cleaned up and lubed, I guess, and we'll get it back together real quick here. Shouldn't take very long. I'm not sure what I'm going to use for lube on this. I'm not sure what I need some sort of really super light grease, and I don't think I have anything. I'll have to make up my mind. I'll let you know what I use. Well, I got the new belt on there. It works, but I'm not happy with it. I'm gonna see if I can find something else. I thought I seen a website that had cloth woven belts, so I'm gonna dig into that a little bit further. I'll have to measure the old belt that I took off. I think I have it over here. Yeah, here we go. This thing is toast. It's hard. But if I could get one, see how thin this is compared to that? That O-ring is quite a bit thicker in diameter. You know, thickness anyway. And it's rubbing down here at the bottom. Let's see if I can get it in the picture here. If you can see it. Let's see if we can get a close up here. Yeah, you can see it there at the bottom. Come in just a little bit there. You can see it rubbing. It's rubbing down here on this bracket because of the thickness of it. And this is so much thinner that it would clear that bracket. It would sit up into that pulley a little bit further. But it is on there and it does work. It's just, I don't like it rubbing. It does work, but I do not like it rubbing. Let's widen this out just a bit. Come up. So this one screw down here, obviously the knob's not on here. This one screw comes out, but first you got to get this little spinny clip off of here, this Oh Jesus clip, and this Belleville spring washer that holds this back on here. You get those off, then you pull that screw, and this just slides off of there. This will fall out. It just sits in this bracket here, in this bracket in the front. So I took it all apart and cleaned it. I cleaned everything. There's a set screw on this pulley, and it comes off of this shaft, and I pulled these two screws. I pulled these two screws here, and I pulled the whole thing out, and I cleaned it very thoroughly with brake parts cleaner. I got out as much of the old sticky grease out of the shaft as I could because it was packed with grease. I cleaned it as best I could, and then the other end of it where the gear is, I thought maybe I could take it apart, but it's the end of this shaft has got a shoulder on it, so the shaft has got to come out this way, but the gear is on it, and the gear is kind of riveted. The end of this, I'm assuming this is aluminum, and the other end of it is pinned over on the gear. So the gear has got to come off, so you'd have to drill that out, and I'm not messing with that. So I spent quite a bit of time cleaning it, and then I packed it like a wheel bearing, and I used my finger. And I put the grease on there, and then I just rolled it in. If you ever packed a wheel bearing, you know that you can force the grease in. So I just did that until grease started coming out of this end where the shaft goes through that brass collar. And I got grease all the way around in there. It took about an hour. It took a long time. And the only grease that I could find that I had is this synthetic caliper grease. This stuff is heat resistant. It doesn't get hard. It stays liquidy for a long time. You know, you're putting it on your, your brake parts, your caliper pivot pins, your slider pins on your calipers for your brakes on your car. It's pretty dirt resistant, and it's synthetic. So it's best I could come up with. It's probably not the right stuff, but it will work. Like I said, if I can get the right belt for this, that's like this, a cloth woven belt, I guess. I'm not sure what you'd call that. But if I could get a belt like that, I will change this. This is no big deal to do this again. I could do this very easily. Yeah, I packed that all full of grease, and then I put grease on the back side and the front side of this, so she's nice and lubed up. She works pretty well. Let's see if you can see that tuning condenser move. Let's see if we can get that tuning condenser in there. Yeah, it's kind of behind the... We can bring you up a little bit. We can look down on it. We always look down on everything, don't we? And she runs through the full gambit. Fully open. Fully closed. Right there, fully closed. Now, if you ever do one of these, let's bring this back down. Let's see if we can get a shot of it in there. I'll have to bring it over. Probably turn the radio a little bit here. Yeah, you can see that gear. There's two of these gears, and they're sandwiched together, and this spring keeps the tension on them. I think I went over this before. So when you put this gear back in, you got to take a screwdriver or something and align the gears so they're level on the bottom down here, and then put that gear in. They'll move quite a bit. You know, it's not like, you know, quarter of an inch or anything, but it's probably, you know, a 30-second or so it moved. So you got to hold that and then shove that back in there, and then get that collar and those screws started while you're holding it. You can see that kind of C-shaped collar. Let's see if I can slide that back. Maybe get a little more light in there on it. Yeah, you can see that C-shaped collar in there. And that retains that bushing, I guess, or, you know, I don't know, the housing that the shaft rides in. These two screws. You tighten them down. The only thing I haven't done is put any oil in here. I usually put a little bit of oil in there. Just a couple of drops is all it takes. It moved very smoothly, so, and I'm not done cleaning. So I just wanted to get this, so when I get all of the, I wanted to get this working, so when I get all of the condensers, you know, capacitors changed and any resistors, which I've checked, and there are no bad resistors that I've found so far. There's a couple of them buried in there that I can't really get to until I get a capacitor or two out of the way. So, yeah, this is... I don't see how this could ever line up unless this whole thing comes up, which it probably could with new grommets underneath of it. And it could lift it up to line that up. I could see that. I'll have to look online and see if I can get new grommets for it. I don't know. I'll check to make sure this isn't shorted out to here. But I'm assuming it's going to be down here, you know, where this corner is. Right? They didn't put any sort of insulator behind this. And I will take a pair of pliers and bend that down right now. The corner of this is bent up a little bit, and I don't like it. I don't think it's supposed to be that way. That's pretty good there. So that does not contact that. You would think... Let's check it. Put it on the piece of the resistance. Let's see if we can get you in here. Can you read that? Yeah, you can see that. So we check. Oh, let's put it in the alarm so we can actually hear it too. Okay. Put one here. So we have continuity. I didn't think we were supposed to have continuity. Oh no, right there, duh, there's a strap. Don't be so stupid. Okay, so I guess it doesn't matter if this touches. I don't know what I was thinking. And then between here and here should be open, and it is. So between the tuning condenser halves, between the banana slicer, there's it's open. So nothing wrong with that tuning condenser at that position. Okay, fully open. Let's fully close it, because that's usually where they're shorted out, is when they're fully closed. And it's open. Nothing. Yep. Alright, so I think the next time you see it, maybe I'll put that dial face back on real quick and the needle back on it, and then I'll start changing condensers. We'll come back once I get this back on there, and then I think we might call it a video. It's pretty long already, I would imagine. Alright, we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, dial face is back on. Needle is mostly adjusted. I might have to do a little fine tuning on it. That's all the way that way. I think I am going to have to get those bushings or those rubber grommets for that condenser. It goes a little bit further that way, but we come back this way and it lines up. So this is the condenser fully closed here we're going towards. That's fully closed. And we're going to wing it around here and make her fully open. Just goes a little bit further that way. I don't know. We'll see when I go to do the alignment where the needle lines up. If the stations are where they're supposed to be, I can always make an adjustment to the... It's kind of funny that it lines up when it's fully closed. But when it's fully open, it's not lined up. So I'm not sure what the heck's going on there, but that's the direction you got to tighten it, right? So when the condenser's fully closed, you can actually get a little purchase on it and get it, you know, just snug. Not sure. Not going to worry about it, but we'll, I guess the next time you see it, we'll have the, have it electrically working and maybe cleaned up, get the chassis cleaned up, get all the dirt off of it, get those tubes cleaned, and we'll go over the schematic. There is something unique with this radio that I have not seen before. We'll go over it in the next video. So take care and leave a comment down below, and thanks for watching.